Fox Sports.
We are Fox Sports. We are Arizona.
Living on the air in Cincinnati, we're on the banks of the Ohio River with Kentucky on the other side, just across the bridge. On this side, it's the Diamondbacks and the Cincinnati Reds as we open up a three-game series. Welcome to D-backs Baseball on Fox Sports Arizona. Good afternoon from Great American Ballpark in Cincinnati. Welcome to the broadcast. Steve Berthume and Bob Brenly along the way. The Diamondbacks looking for a fix to their struggling offense, and they may have found it in Detroit. A trade announced, Bob, just within the last half hour. Our big story today, J.D. Martinez is on his way to Arizona.
Yeah, coming off the American League Player of the Week. Last week, J.D. Martinez, an established veteran major league hitter. This guy makes solid contact on a regular basis. Diamondbacks are 2 games under 500 against left-handed pitching this year. J.D. Martinez will help solve that problem. 3
minor leaguers, including Dawel Lugo, who was acquired from the Tigers in the Robbie Ray deal a couple of years ago, on the way to Detroit.
Well, you know, prospects are what they are, but to get an established player like J.D. Martinez, occasionally you have to give up some good players, but they're called prospects for a reason because they haven't done it yet. J.D. Martinez has.
And a reminder, this is likely a rental. J.D. Martinez due to become a free agent at the end of this season, so we'll see, but certainly a big addition. Now, as far as tonight's game goes, this has been the headline all over the baseball internet today. The pitching matchup is Ray Romano.
Everybody loves Ray, right? Well, hopefully Robbie Ray, you know, in the sitcom, he's always playing a fool and doing stupid things. Hopefully Robbie won't do that tonight, and Romano will.
Rookie Sal Romano, just his 3rd big league start. We are just about set to go. The Diamondbacks and the Reds. First pitch coming up shortly on Fox Sports Arizona.
Diamondbacks Baseball on Fox Sports Arizona is brought to you by Gila River Casinos. The card by Gila River Casinos earns you rewards 10 times faster than ever before. Sign up today at any Gila River hotels and casinos location. By Chaz Roberts Air Conditioning and Plumbing, choose Chaz. By Jack in the Box and the Jumbo Jack, a home run for your mouth. By Santan Ford, we are Santan Ford. And by CenturyLink, connecting you to the power of the digital world. Arizona is brought to you by your Valley Honda dealer, where you get more standard features for less money. By Gigablast, internet from Cox. Get ready for the gig life. By Oregano's. Step up to the plate for a guaranteed home run at Oregano's, your neighborhood pizza joint, location statewide. And by State Farm. State Farm is here to help life go right. Talk to an agent today or call 1-800-STATE-FARM.
In Cincinnati, the Diamondbacks with all-star Robbie Ray, only 3 strikeouts away from 500 for his career, set to take them out against the Cincinnati Reds. And the first pitch is next on Fox Sports Arizona. Here in Cincinnati, not a dry heat, but not bad. A little humid, but we've seen worse, certainly. 86 degrees, very comfortable, lovely evening here along the banks of the Ohio River. Steve Berthiaume, Bob Brenly, and Jody Jackson with you. Diamondbacks have played pretty well here lately. They've won 6 of their last 8 at Great American Ballpark. And here's your lineup, brought to you by your Valley Chevy dealers.
A.J. Pollock will once again lead it off out in center field. David Peralta will be in right. Paul Goldschmidt at first base with Jake Lamb at third. Chris Owings at shortstop, Brandon Drury at second base, Daniel Descalso, perhaps his last start in left field for the Diamondbacks with J.D. Martinez on his way. Chris Herman will be doing the catching tonight for lefty Robbie Ray.
Your Ram Truck starting pitcher for the Reds is the rookie right-hander Sal Romano, 23 years old, back up from AAA Louisville today. Just his 3rd major league start. He's a big boy out there, 6'5", 270 pounds, and he can put some weight behind an upper 90s fastball.
Yeah, big fastball, likes to use it, likes to throw it first pitch a lot, has a hard slider to go along with it, but really doesn't have a 3rd pitch at this point in his career.
Here's a look at the Reds defensively, brought to you by Nationwide Vision Centers.
Billy Hamilton out in center field. He'll be flanked by Adam Duvall in left, Scott Schebler over in right field, Eugenio Suarez at third, Zach Cozart at short, Jose Peraza at second base, Joey Votto over at first, Stuart Turner doing the catching tonight for right-hander Sal Romano.
Eric Cooper is our plate umpire tonight. He's got the balls and strikes. The crew chief Gary Cederstrom is at first base, Gabe Morales at second, and Adrian Johnson at third. Diamondbacks have lost 5 games in a row for the first time all year. They've dropped 11 of their last 14 and hoping to get healthy here in the first of 3 against the Reds in Cincinnati. There's strike 1. A.J. Pollock, 282 and 3 home runs. One of those homers against the Reds just a couple of weeks ago at Chase Field. Romano quickly ahead 0-2. He's going to sit 95, 96 with that fastball pretty consistently. It will occasionally get as high as 99.
You mentioned his third start at the major league level. His first one, he was a little overamped, tried to overpower the Milwaukee Brewers, threw 82 pitches in 3 innings of work. But next time out against the Colorado Rockies at Coors Field was very good. Against that offensive ball club, we know how good those Rockies can be at their home park. He went 5 innings, gave up only 6 hits, struck out 6 Rockies, and only threw 84 pitches in that game.
1-2 on A.J. Pollock. On the ground is shortstop. The All-Star Zach Cozart is there, and that's the first out. Sal Romano is from Southington, Connecticut. Reds took him with a 23rd round pick out of high school there in the draft 6 years ago. The major league debut, as Bob mentioned, came here in April against Milwaukee. He was back up earlier this month when he pitched much better at Coors Field. David Peralta, 308, 8 home runs. David comes into this series riding a 6-game hitting streak. Romano does have a slider, and it can be at times an effective swing and miss pitch for him. Back foot to lefties, down and away to the right-handers. It's not a big sweeper, it's more of a straight downward drop. That was it right there. Gets it for a strike, and it's 1-2.
I think most pitchers would prefer to have that downward movement rather than that sweeping flat slider that stays on the same plane. You get that ball going down the way Romano did on that last pitch, very tough to square it up.
He's got the Rule 5 pick Stuart Turner behind the plate tonight. Tucker Barnhart has the day off. Their regular catcher Devin Mesoraco is rehabbing an injury right now at AAA. Peralta slices one pretty deep left field. Duvall is backing up. He's got it just shy of the wall. And that's the second out. Here's Paul Goldschmidt.
Mentioned the heat and humidity, 90 degrees at game time. The ball should be jumping. It usually does in this ballpark regardless of which way the wind blows, and with the heat and humidity you figure the ball's really going to fly tonight.
Goldie 315, 21 home runs. Knocked in 71. There's a 98-mile-an-hour fastball for strike one. Here's a look at the flags in left center field blowing out toward the Ohio River, which is right behind the ballpark. So it should be prime hitting conditions tonight for a team looking to get healthy offensively. Goldie had a couple of 2-hit games in Atlanta. He starts this series with a 9-game hitting streak. And he's hit safely in 15 consecutive road games. Fastball missed away, and it's 3-1.
It'll be interesting to see if there's any effect of the J.D. Martinez trade on the team tonight before he gets there. A couple of times I played with the San Francisco Giants and we would make deadline moves. Of course, there was no Twitter or Facebook.
What? How did you survive?
There was no electricity, for crying out loud. But, you know, we heard through the grapevine, word of mouth, hey, we just made a deal. We got Dave Dravecky from the Padres. And you could just feel the energy going through that clubhouse before the game even started, and Dravecky wasn't even in uniform yet.
Full count to Goldie, 3-2. Well, a shot in the arm the team needs. There's no question the offense has been lacking. I mean, been without Yasmani Tomas out there, a significant right-hand power bat for what, going on 5-6 weeks, and it's, I think it had finally, Bob, started catching up to them, having Chris Owings hitting 5th every day and Daniel Descalso in left field almost every day. Team wasn't designed to do that for very long.
Yeah, guys, do what they can when they put in a role like that. But, the reality is that's not the way this team was built. These guys had roles with the ball club. If everybody did their job, Daniel Descalso would have been a super utility guy. Chris Owings would have either hit up at the top of the order or down near the bottom. But out of necessity, guys have had to fill roles they're not familiar with.
Goldie fouled off a couple of pitches with a full count and works a 2-out walk. And if there's anywhere where Jake Lamb is going to get back in all-star form, it's in this ballpark in these conditions. 272 and 20 homers. Jake had a quiet series against the Braves. He was 1 for 12 with 6 strikeouts. Trying to get it going again. And a little bit of a quiet July, in fact, for Jake Lamb. 6 for 36 this month. 2 RBIs in 11 games in July. And you look at the way the offense has scuffled the last couple of weeks. Every guy has kind of a stat line like that. Well, here's why they're not hitting. Well, this guy's not doing that. And this guy's not doing the other thing. And it really has been a collective. Romano's got that big fastball. He's ahead 0-2.
Well, they have some numbers up on the big board here at Great American Ballpark. In Jake Lamb's career here, he's a 188 hitter. That is really puzzling.
Strange, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, because we've seen some undermanned pitching staffs here in Cincinnati, and certainly a great place to hit, especially if you elevate the ball.
Very short porch out there in right field.
This Romano's a big dude, as you've mentioned, but you look at his picture in the Reds media guide, it looks like his 8th grade graduation photo. He looks like he could be a bat boy.
He's only 23. He'll be 24 in October. Just his 3rd career major league start. But this is kind of the way it's gone for the Reds this year. Cincinnati has used 25 pitchers this season, 13 different starters, including 7 rookies.
Wow.
And Sal Romano was among them. Here's the 1-2 to Jake Lamb. Romano can get wild from time to time. Occasionally the walks are a problem. He had 1 outing for AAA Louisville last month at New Orleans. He walked 5 batters, lasted 1 inning, and threw 51 pitches in that first inning. And that was his night. He was done. So we can get away from him from time to time.
Talking to some of the Diamondbacks after they had looked at the video and had their advanced scouting report, it sounded like a lot of the hitters were just going to sit on fastball. If he happens to throw a slider for a called strike, so be it. Get on that heater. It's a pitch he likes to throw a lot. He likes to throw it early in counts. See if the Diamondbacks can get on that high velocity fastball.
2-2. Keeps trying to get Jake to chase that pitch, and he keeps laying off, and now it's a full count, 3-2.
Boy, and if there was ever a night to run up a pitch count on an opposing pitcher in the humidity and heat here at Cincinnati, which only figures to get a little worse tomorrow night and then ridiculously bad on Thursday.
Yeah, we got a getaway day game Thursday afternoon here. That's going to be a hot one. Goldie takes off for second, and Jake looks at a fastball inside. Eric Cooper rings him up for strike 3. Robbie Ray coming up from Cincinnati. It's no score. Your Ram truck starter for the D-backs is the lefty Robbie Ray. A 2.97 ERA, top 5 in the National League. He's tied for 3rd in the league in strikeouts. And Robbie tonight making his first start since July 6th. So, BB, it's been about 2 full weeks.
Yeah, and Robbie hopefully pitching with a little anger that he didn't get into the All-Star game. He was the guy that they were holding back just in case they needed somebody to go multiple innings. And unfortunately, Robbie didn't get an opportunity to pitch down in Miami. But, boy, you look at the stat sheet. Everywhere you look, his numbers are tremendous. On the road, at home. Over his last 9 starts, he's 6-1 with a 1.78 ERA.
A 1.34 road ERA. That is the best mark in the major leagues. Billy Hamilton, who leads the majors in stolen bases, leads it off for Cincinnati. Hamilton 249 and 2 homers. Coming off a productive series against the Nationals here over the weekend. He had 6 hits in 3 games. He was off yesterday. And Hamilton, a switch hitter, batting from the right-hand side against the lefty Ray. Jake Lamb on the grass at 3rd. Goldie at 1st. Hamilton is about 50 points better from the left-hand side of the plate than he is from the right.
I'm sure some of that has to do with the extra 3 or 4 or 5 feet advantage he gets coming out of the left-handed batter's box as opposed to the right-handed batter's box.
Here's a fly ball to short right. Long run for Drury and Peralta. David runs it down, and that's the first out for the Reds. Here's their batting lineup, brought to you by your Valley Chevy dealer.
Now we've seen the center fielder Billy Hamilton go down on that fly ball to right. Zach Cozart, the Reds all-star, at shortstop. Joey Votto at first base. Adam Duvall will be out in left field with Eugenio Suarez at 3rd. Scott Schebler out in right field. Jose Peraza at second base. The Rule 5 pick Stuart Turner doing the catching today for right-hander Sal Romano.
Here is the all-star shortstop, Zach Cozart.
Good field mics here at Great American Ballpark. You can hear Robbie Ray. I mean, you can turn the mics off and you can hear him.
He's in full grunt mode here.
He sure is.
Listen in here. You can hear it. Cozart laces one toward the left field corner, and that ball is gone. A home run. Zach Cozart, the all-star. That's his 10th, and it's 1-0 Reds. Cozart had been hitless in his last 3 games after a big first half, and he gets the Reds on the board early.
That's a danger, making elevated pitches in this ballpark. Any kind of solid contact with a little bit of lift, and it's got a real good chance of leaving the park. This one, a line drive just inside that foul pole down the left field line.
Now Robbie Ray will deal with Joey Votto. Slice is foul, and it's 0-1. Votto 308, 26 home runs. Always a very patient hitter. He leads the major leagues in walks. Votto 26 homers. He hit 29 for the season in each of his previous 2 years. So he's well ahead of his recent home run pace, a chance to set a new career high, which was 37 homers back in his MVP season of 2010. This is slicing deep to left center field. Descalso at the track, at the wall, and he runs it down. Daniel Descalso, a tremendous running catch. That's the 2nd out.
Boy, Joey Votto takes some unusual swings at the ball, and a lot of times he hits with a lot of slice. Other times the ball will be hooking. That time it was slicing back to Daniel Descalso, the only D-back that had a play on that ball. What a great running catch by Daniel.
Yeah, that gets off the wall. It bounces back towards center, and Votto's off to the races. Base is empty. 2 down for Adam Duvall. 277 and 20 home runs. Duvall, another guy on this team with good power. Over the last season and a half, he's got 53 home runs. Pollock in center will shade over toward right center field. Scalzo out there in left is really fighting the sun right now. He's the only guy that at this point in the evening has to deal with that long shadow behind him. Fastball's a strike, and it's 1-2. Zach Cozart's 10th of the year has given Cincinnati a 1-0 lead. 15th home run given up this year by Robbie Ray. And he strikes out Duvall, but Cozart gets the Reds on the board. Diamondbacks trail it 1-0.
Diamondbacks J.D. Martinez on his way. Jody Jackson here at field level just got off the phone, a conference call with media with Diamondbacks general manager Mike Hazen. He said Martinez could join the team as soon as tomorrow. He said this deal was kind of in the works for a while. Talks with Detroit went back and forth but progressed recently. And anytime you can add a big bat in the middle of the lineup like this, a guy who's played at a number of levels postseason, he has a presence in that lineup. He hits lefties, he hits righties, corner outfielder, a good fit in a lot of ways. And as for the prospects, they said, you know, Hazen said we traded from a position of depth with infielders, and so certainly they're thrilled to be able to bring a player like J.D. Martinez into this team. He said the urgency was not really of late with the team's struggles. He said it was from day one when the team was playing well. They expected to be making moves at this time of year. So guys, a lot of phone calls still out there. He said nothing is imminent, but you get the feeling, especially with the news of Randall Delgado, who could be out at least a couple of weeks, that certainly those phone calls out there. He said we'll do whatever we can to improve our team, and he also credited ownership, Ken Kendrick, for being able to do this type of a thing, bringing in J.D. Martinez and possibly more moves ahead. So we'll keep you posted with that, but certainly an exciting time right now for this team.
You're right, Jody. It's exactly the tonic that they needed, some right-hand power, as Chris Owings leads off the second with a double, his 23rd of the year. And now here's Brandon Drury. J.D. Martinez will be a free agent at the end of this year, so if you want to use the term rental, that may apply in this case, although there's no reason you can't re-sign him after he hits the free agent market. But you give up actually not really a whole lot. Well, Lugo acquired by the Diamondbacks from Toronto a couple of years ago. That was part of the Cliff Pennington trade. He was the real headliner among the prospects, if you want to call it that, the Diamondbacks sent to Detroit. But it seems like, Bob, this will really give them a chance to get now away from guys like Chris Owings and Brandon Drury hitting 4th and 5th in the lineup, where they're probably better suited to hit just a little bit further down.
I mean, J.D. Martinez is a guy that's been a middle of the lineup run producer his entire career. That's what he's used to doing. That's what he expects to do when he comes here to Arizona, and I think it'll put everybody else in a much more comfortable spot in that lineup.
Bouncing ball to shortstop. Zach Cozart has it. Owings in at third, and they retire Drury.
And you have to believe, as we sneak up on the trade deadline, that so many teams find themselves 12, 15, 20 games out of first place already by the All-Star break. There may be a lot of wheeling and dealing this year. A lot of teams that realize very early on they have no chance to do anything in the second half of the season, maybe looking to shed some payroll or get some prospects from those teams that are looking forward to the postseason.
Infield comes in with Owings at third and one out for Daniel Descalso. Descalso, as you said, Bob, a guy that was brought in to be a veteran role player, play all over the field, but he's, with the injury to Yasmani Tomas, become essentially an everyday left fielder, which really wasn't in the plan. He's done very well last 17 games. He's hitting over .330. But if he's out there every day in left, that means he can't be plugged into the other spots where you might need him, which is the reason you brought him in the first place. So the addition of J.D. Martinez will really lengthen that lineup and create more bench depth. Descalso sends this one out to left center field. Duvall is there. Here comes CO. Just does beat the throw, and the Diamondbacks have tied it up at 1. The RBI for Descalso. Boy, Duvall made that a close play.
Yeah, we saw Duvall throw out Paul Goldschmidt at home plate in that series at Chase Field right before the All-Star break. He's got a good arm, and he gets himself into a good position, stays behind the ball, gets as much momentum toward home plate as he possibly could. We know how fast Chris Owings is, and he made that a relatively close play at the plate.
The catcher tonight is Chris Herman. 178, 7 homers. Chris doubled and scored a run starting in left field over the weekend in Atlanta.
Hey fans, a D-backs home run today means a free Jumbo Jack tomorrow at participating Jack in the Box locations with the purchase of a large drink.
This is bounced to second for Jose Peraza. Owings a leadoff double. Descalso gets him home with an equalizer. We're tied at 1 in Cincinnati. Our big eyes tie the game at 1. Let's take a look at the Diamondbacks defense. It's presented by Nationwide Vision Centers.
Daniels already made a nice play out there in left center field. A.J. Pollock will be in center field. David Peralta over in right. It'll be Lamb, Owings, Drury, and Goldschmidt third to first across the infield. Chris Herman doing the catching tonight for left-hander Robbie Ray.
And in this matchup, Bob, of Ray versus Romano, it's time for your Valley Honda dealer's key to the game.
Everybody loves Ray, except maybe the Reds offense.
Because we, Ray's our guy,
yeah.
So it worked out better for us. And Eugenio Suarez. You can't have a key to the game that says everybody loves Sal. That just doesn't work.
Not at all.
So the numbers on Suarez: 252 and 13 homers. He homered here yesterday in their loss to Washington. A little early to be in the bullpen phone.
I think he's doing an interview about the Martinez trade.
He might be. Somebody's got good sources. Well, Suarez, who celebrates a birthday today, he's 26 years old, takes a leadoff walk.
Well, there's your birthday gift from Robbie Ray, and that's all you're getting.
Scott Schebler. Schebler, the right fielder, 250 and 22 home runs. He's been a little quiet lately. He's in a 3 for 21 stretch. Scott Schebler, look at these platoon splits. He's hitting over 320 versus left-hand pitchers. His batting average versus righties drops 100 points.
That is really strange. 7 homers. Well, actually, let me look at the right column here. 17 homers against right-handed pitching. Can that be right?
Yeah, 5 against
5 against lefties. Yeah.
So his batting average goes up 100 points facing a left-hand pitcher, which is completely backwards, but it works for the Reds in terms of this matchup, certainly.
And when you see those backward splits like that as you're doing your video homework on a hitter, you try to see if there's a reason why. Is he hitting a lot of breaking balls from left-handed pitchers?
Hard to second. Drury bobbles it, recovers. They get 1, and that's it. Was hit on a button right to him, but they can't turn the double play.
Taylor made double play ball right there. Every double play, not every double play, but most double plays start with a hard hit ball. Something you can make that relay onto the bag at second, whether it's from the left side or the right side, but it all starts with a hard hit ball, and they got that. 2-hopper right at Brandon Drury. I'm not quite sure what Suarez was doing going into second base, standing up there. It's not good.
Why don't you like that?
Well, number one, if Chris Owings decided to relay onto first base, Suarez probably would have taken it right between the eyes going into second base standing up. And number two, he ran past the bag. You're not allowed to do that on a slide. Why should you be allowed to do it if you stay on your feet?
That's a good point. The rule says now that they've taken the neighborhood play out that you have to make a bona fide attempt to slide in there, part of the Chase Utley rule. Jose Peraza, 253 and 4 homers.
Yeah, before all the rule changes to protect middle infielders from sliding runners, that used to be one of the only means of defense an infielder had, was to drop down and throw a submarine relay onto first base to make sure that base runner got down and got down early so he didn't get on you at second base and flip you, make a bad throw, something like that. That submarine throw from a second baseman or a shortstop to first base kept a lot of runners honest out there. Manny Trio was the world's best.
Well, he had a big arm.
Whoa,
Manny Trio.
He did, and he could throw hard from that submarine position, and base runners knew it. They'd slide halfway to second base just to get out of the way.
1-1 on the Reds' second baseman, Jose Peraza. Peraza is, as you like to say, a WW.
He may be the WW.
He simply, not only does he, it's not he won't walk, he just doesn't walk. 5 bases on balls this year for Jose Peraza in 349 plate appearances. He has now gone 46 consecutive games without a walk. The last time he walked was May 21st. That's 182 straight plate appearances without a ball 4.
That's hard to do. You could challenge guys. Try to go up there and don't draw a walk.
The funny thing is, he doesn't strike out a ton. It's not like he's up there striking out all the time. He's just a really aggressive hitter, and I mean, for him, this is a long at bat. Schebler takes off. Here's the throw to second, and they got him. Chris Herman behind the plate throws him out, says second base ump Gabe Morales.
Brian Price immediately had his hand up in the air while the Reds video coordinator gets an opportunity to look at this. Not a great jump that time by Schebler. High throw from Chris Herman. Nice quick tag that time by CO at second base. I think they may have gotten it right.
Pitch was a ball, so it's a full count on Peraza, 3-2. Base is empty, 2 down. That's going to get out of play. Well, hopefully the extended time in between starts for Robbie Ray, as Turner waits on deck, won't hurt his command. The walks have been up a little bit lately for Robbie. He's walked at least 4 batters in each of his last 5 starts. But he's, for the most part, been able to pitch around traffic on the bases, and despite the walks, he's lost only once in those last 5 starts. Well, he was sensational last time out, July 6th, Dodger Stadium. Matched a career high with 13 strikeouts in 6 innings. He just got stronger and stronger as the game went on. You can see Peraza's not a bad contact guy up there. We talked about the WW, but he doesn't go down swinging a lot. He can foul off pitch after pitch, and he's worked at least a 9-pitch at bat now.
When Peraza gets to a 2-strike count, it almost looks like back in the day when guys used to play pepper. It's a rarity you see anybody do it anymore, but it was a game where you had 3 or 4 position players with their gloves and a ball and one guy with the bat, and you would just try to hit easy ground balls back to all the defenders. That's what it looks like Peraza's doing now, just trying to bump that ball into play somewhere.
Robbie's trying to mix up the pitches, but he keeps fouling them off one after another. Peraza's hit safely in 9 of his last 11 games.
Well, Robbie doesn't throw one, but it would be funny to see that big, slow Zach Greinke curveball right now. Peraza would probably screw himself into the ground.
Lifts it to left. Descalso is there. When we come back in the top of the 3rd, you will hear from Diamondbacks GM Mike Hazen on the acquisition of JD Martinez. That's coming up right after this. And Reds are tied at 1. Big news by the Diamondbacks announced about a half hour before the start of the game tonight. The acquisition of outfielder J.D. Martinez, who is Detroit Tigers, and with us on the telephone live right now is D-backs Executive Vice President and General Manager Mike Hazen. Mike, thanks for the time. Congratulations. Why J.D. Martinez for the D-backs?
Thanks, guys. Well, you know, we were as we got started here a few months ago, sort of looking at the trading deadline and what we may need, you know, I think, and the confluence of some injuries that have happened here over the last couple of months, you know, we felt like we really wanted to target somebody that could really lengthen our lineup out a little bit. We've done a good job of scoring runs. I know we've been in a little bit of a lull here recently, but we've done a really good job over the course of the season of scoring runs, and you know, we wanted to be able to add to that. I think as you look forward past the deadline, you know, you want to try to add as much as you can in order to sustain for those next 2 months. So he was a good fit for us. His presence in the lineup, obviously his production, all the things, his makeup, all the things that we were looking for.
And Mike, I know the ball club is heavily involved with advanced analytics, and it's easy to look at the counting numbers for J.D. Martinez and say, yeah, that guy's a good hitter. Was there something beyond the numbers that we see in the newspaper every day that made you go this direction?
Well, I think watching his at-bats, as we've had the chance to scout him, and certainly being from the American League, we've had plenty of opportunities to watch his damage being done firsthand. You know, he's a good hitter, you know, and I think looking to beyond the power, the production type stuff, we like the way he swings the bat. We like the way he controls his at-bats. You know, he's been in the middle of a very good lineup. We've scored a lot of runs in a lot of ways, and you know, we feel like he again adds that presence in there to go with Lammer and Goldie in the middle of the lineup. And so that's really, you know, what we were looking for when we were going out and scouting him. And, you know, there were a number of bats out there. This was one that we really had focused in on wanting to try to acquire.
Mike, do you see him as the everyday left fielder, at least for the time being, while Yasmani Tomas is out?
So he's going to play every day. How that all shakes out, Tori and I haven't had the opportunity to really talk yet. You know, we'll probably sit down over the phone either tonight after the game or tomorrow morning and sort of walk through both defensive alignments and lineup construction type stuff, and we'll sort of pass back our scouting thoughts from our end, and I'm sure then he'll put that in with the coaches, and they'll figure out exactly what to do with him. But we haven't really had a ton of time to spend. All I had was about 5 minutes before the game started to just tell him what happened, and then wish him good luck and tell him to go get us some runs.
Well, that's a nice phone call to get to make, I guess, huh?
It was a good one, yeah.
Help is on the way. How is give us the tone and tenor, maybe the temperature of the trade deadline out there? I imagine you've been working on this for a while, as you said. Are things active out there? Are teams quiet? What's going on?
Well, there's a lot of activity. There's always a lot of phone calls. I mean, you're touching base with probably 7 to 10 GMs a day at this point in time, and that's only going to increase as you get to the end. And then there's you know, but ultimately though that will fall off from a total team standpoint as you realize you don't match up with certain clubs or another. We're sort of involved in a lot of different things, so you know it makes sense to be engaged with everybody because we're looking at long-term stuff too. You know, we always want to try to improve the organization moving forward if we have the opportunity to do so. So this was certainly a move that was going to help the 2017 club, but we're always having our eye on how we can strengthen ourselves in any way for ball clubs beyond, even if that, you know, means from a depth standpoint. And certainly we want to make sure that we continue to look at ways to strengthen this club, because once you get beyond July 31st, it's very difficult to make a deal.
He can become J.D. Martinez, Mike, a free agent at the end of this season. How did that impact the price that the Diamondbacks paid?
Well, I don't know. You'd have to ask the Tigers that, but I'm imagining that you know it's going to impact it, you know, to some level. I think sure. When you're talking about years of control, that traditionally means a higher price to pay because you're factoring that into the valuation. So, you know, we knew that we were going to get J.D. for a couple of months. We were excited about that. We were sort of focused on that, you know, not really laying out the vision beyond 2017 right now. We wanted to focus on that, given where the club is at, how the club has played. We wouldn't have ruled out other scenarios, and we didn't. But this was just something that we felt like was the right move to make now.
Mike, you've been through a number of trade deadlines, and I speculated in the last inning that because there are so many have-nots this year in baseball, I mean, because of what Houston's done and the Nationals and certainly the Dodgers, boat racing the rest of the division, are you finding that some of those teams at the bottom that are looking at a 20-game deficit at this point in the season, are they more anxious to maybe make some moves?
It very well may be. You know, you never really know how the dynamic of the deadline is going to go. You know, your buyers and sellers are, and I believe it's becoming more fluid. I think teams are looking at being able to do both in any given year, which you know could present some challenges to try to pull off. But at the same time, you know, I think a lot of teams we're looking forward to other, you know, long-term clubs as well, because, you know, look, we're stewards of the franchise in a lot of ways, in which we're responsible for not only what's right in front of our face, but we're responsible for what's coming down the line, and we feel that. And so when we talk through these moves, when we talk through these deals, those implications, those end products of any trade are always going to be factored in. So it's hard to say exactly how the deadline is going to move or how it's going to go. It does seem like with a number of teams at the top have really run out on their divisions, and who knows how active they'll be. You know, again, we're still 2 weeks away from the deadline, and I was traditionally, over the 15 years I've been involved in this, I mean, the activity is going to heat up between now and July 31st.
Well, do you anticipate Mike being a part of that? I guess the next question is this it, or is there more on the way?
Well, I don't know is the right answer. We will be a part of everything. Whether we ultimately come down to doing anything is a totally different story. We're going to be engaged in a number of different fronts. I mean, again, like I said before, with this deal, we were solely focused on the 2017 team. In other situations, in other deals, we may be looking at you know, moves that could impact us now and moving forward. And so you're never going to rule out being engaged in a lot of those discussions, because you may have something that some other team really wants for themselves for the long haul. And so we'll still stay very, very engaged in a lot of different fronts, you know, whether it's through depth to help this team or beyond.
Well, Mike, it's another reason for D-backs fans to be excited. The acquisition of J.D. Martinez. Congratulations, and thanks for joining us here. We appreciate it.
Thank you. Have Goldie hit a 3-run jack for us. Right
you know, I was kind of hoping it would happen while you were on the phone, but you know him, he's so patient. He's worked the count 3-1 here.
That's good. That's what we like, right?
That's right. Thanks so much.
Guys. Oh, you want me to stay on?
Yeah, go ahead. Take a shot. Can you see what's going on where you are?
I can see. I don't know if I'm on delay.
You're on a little bit of a delay. That's a fair ball down the third base line. It gets by Suarez. Robbie Ray coming home. And I think you get half an RBI for that.
That's what we like. All right, Lammert's turn. All right, guys.
Thanks, Mike.
All right, I'll talk to you.
There's Diamondbacks Executive Vice President, GM Mike Hazen, talking about the acquisition of J.D. Martinez, and he brought us a little good luck here.
Yeah, a little rollover grounder on a 96-mile-an-hour heater. Kind of a half-hearted effort that time by Suarez down there at third base, off his glove into foul territory, and Robbie Ray comes around to score the go-ahead run.
And the D-backs now with a 2-1 lead, second and third, one out for Jake Lamb. Jake struck out looking on a borderline inside fastball his first time up. That one misses upstairs. Peralta's at third and Goldie at second. Romano almost threw that away. He's really working hard now with 55 pitches, and he's only recorded 7 outs.
And they're going to go ahead and give Jake the no-pitch intentional walk to load him up here.
Chris Owings will be the hitter. So a run is already in, bases full, one down, and it's Chris Owings who doubled and scored to lead off the second. And here comes Mac Jenkins, the Reds pitching coach, talked to his rookie right-hander Sal Romano, who's in trouble here in only his 3rd major league start.
Hey fans, it's Kids Free Weekend at Chase Field. The D-backs are giving all kids 15 and younger free tickets to any home game this weekend. What? Free tickets? July 21st through the 23rd. Get 2 free kids tickets with the purchase of an adult ticket for the D-backs National Series. Call 602-514-8400 or log on to dbacks.com/kids.
I mean, that's a tremendous deal. You got Bryce Harper and company coming to Chase Field. Kids get in free. Well, we've been waiting for 2 weeks, it seems, for that big hit, and this is the situation right here. Chris Owings, bases full in a 1-run game. And throughout the first half of the season, it looked like in this exact spot somebody would come up and bang a double off the wall or hit a long home run. And lately it's been 1 run here, another run there. Haven't really had that big crooked number, but a chance for CO to get it right here. High bouncer up the middle. Cozart, nice play, steps on the bag and turns 2. But the Diamondbacks do get 1 across. They take a 2-1 lead.
Getting to the locker room in the clubhouse, once you walk in that clubhouse, it's, you're no longer a Tiger, you're a Diamondback now, and it's going to be weird, obviously, because you're in a new clubhouse, new players, but, they got a great team over there. They've been good for a reason, and, I'm just hoping to go over there and just hop on their train and just do what I can to help them keep doing what they've been doing.
Well, that was former Tiger, now Diamondback, J.D. Martinez, just a short time ago, reacting to the news he'd been traded to the Diamondbacks, acquired just before the opening pitch of this game here in Cincinnati. J.D. Martinez, big right-hand hitting outfielder, on his way to the Diamondbacks for 3 minor leaguers. Stuart Turner, the Reds catcher, leads off the 3rd against Robbie Ray, who's now got a 2-1 lead. I think that last at bat, BB, by CO really is a perfect example of what's been happening. A couple of weeks ago, a couple of months ago, he hits a double in the gap. Today, a bouncer up the middle double play. That's just the way things have been going. Here's one on the ground to Chris Owings. 1 away.
Yeah, and it really is just kind of the nature of baseball. I was talking about it with some friends the other day. They are asking me what happened to the Diamondbacks. And I said, well, early in the season, every time they needed a base hit, they got a base hit. If they needed the pitcher to throw a ground ball double play, they got a ground ball double play. If they needed a strikeout, Robbie Ray would punch somebody out to get out of a jam. And lately, it just hasn't come that easy. Chris Iannetta said that. It's not coming easy. We really have to work hard, and if they continue to work hard and do the things they're supposed to do, things will come back.
Now 5 straight losses, 11 of their last 14. So their wild card lead over Colorado down to only a half game at the start of play today. Here's the pitcher, Sal Romano. So this is the Ray Romano matchup right here. Diamondbacks, well, we're talking about the standings, 10.5 games behind the Dodgers NL West lead, half game up on Colorado for that first wild card spot. Dodgers have Clayton Kershaw pitching tonight at the White Sox. Rockies are hosting the Padres. 2-2 to Sal Romano. You really can call this guy Big Sal. Hey, Big Sal.
Hey.
Hey.
Tough guy.
6'5", 270. He's a big dude. Out of Southington, Connecticut, right outside Hartford. Full count 3-2. So now that you're back from your assignment, what do you think about the standings?
I'm not crazy about them.
I don't blame you.
But the reality is, we talked about the Diamondbacks have to work real hard lately for every win they get. It's not coming easy, but for the Dodgers, it seems like everything is coming easy right now. That can't last. It just can't. They're a great team, no question about it. Pitching staff headed by Clayton Kershaw and finished off with Kenley Jansen and the offense that they put on the board this year, but there's just statistically no way that can continue.
Right?
I hope.
It is annoying, I'll tell you that.
I mean, the Dodgers right now are going through what the Diamondbacks did earlier this season. Like I said, if they need a home run, somebody hit a home run. If they need a double play, somebody turn a double play. If they need an outstanding pitching performance, somebody would go out and do it. And the Dodgers are getting that on a nightly basis.
Well, finally, Robbie Ray dispatches Sal Romano after a very good at bat there. His second strikeout. So Robbie now 1 strikeout away from 500 for his career. And here's the leadoff man, Billy Hamilton. Hamilton flied out to right his first time up. Goldie comes in on the grass at first. Jake Lamb a couple of steps in at third. Billy Hamilton's hit the ball well over the last month, a .315 batting average in his last 18 games. There's a look at the defense. That looked like it hurt. It's 0-2.
You always hold your breath when a guy's main asset is his speed and he fouls the ball off his foot. I'm sure Brian Price held his breath over there until he saw Billy Hamilton get back to his feet, kind of walk it off.
As you always say, it doesn't stop hurting.
No, it does not.
He's still limping around up there. But we play on, McDuff. It's 0-2. Lifts this one out to right field for Peralta. 1-2-3 third for Robbie Ray. Diamondbacks have a 2-1 lead.
It's 2-1. D-backs fans, if you can't watch the game on TV, then stream it live on your mobile device. Use Fox Sports Go. It's presented by your Valley Honda dealers. Just download the app and take Fox Sports Arizona and Goldie and the D-backs with you wherever you go. The beautiful Ohio River. Cincinnati on one side, Kentucky on the other. Brandon Drury leads off the fourth against rookie right-hander Sal Romano. How far away are we from beautiful Coshocton?
Oh, it's about an hour and 45 minutes from here.
Which direction?
Straight north to Columbus and then straight east to Coshocton.
Take a right at Columbus.
That's right.
Did you say you ran into a guy from Coshocton?
Yeah, buddy of mine I went to high school with. I went down to have a little pregame snack on the concourse level.
As one does.
Once in a while, I ran into you down there.
Yeah, I'm not proud.
Yeah, a guy from my high school down there.
That's crazy. Did you recognize him?
Yeah.
Because, you never know. Sometimes, what happened to you?
Well, he could say the same thing, but he's a little grayer, you know.
Well, we all are.
A little plumper, but yeah, very recognizable.
Nice. I ran into Andrew Chafin's parents who were down there from not too far away. They watch all the games. Andrew, a native Ohioan. Ohioan, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Went to Kent State. He was a Golden Flash.
Descalso on deck. Brandon Drury grounded out his first time up. And he checks on a fastball and looks at strike three.
Boy, just a lot of indecision from Brandon Drury lately. Seems like he's taking the good pitches and swinging at the bad ones. Just not seeing the ball out of the pitcher's hand. Maybe thinking too much up there at the plate.
Oh.
A little bit off the corner that time in '96.
Eric Cooper back there. Romano's got 2 strikeouts. Both times they've been looking on borderline pitches. Not terrible calls by Eric Cooper, certainly, but they were both borderline strikes.
Well, he's always had a very big strike zone.
Well, he's searching for strikes.
Well, this is a guy that ejected me when I told him his strike zone was as big as the world. I don't understand what was so bad about that.
That's not right. It's too sensitive, that's all.
Pretty good slider there that time from Romano. That's that pitch we talked about earlier in the ball game. Has more downward movement than lateral movement. Almost looks like a split finger the way it breaks straight down.
Looks like Zach Godley's curveball.
Yeah, good comp there.
Full count on Descalso, 3-2. Chris Herman on deck, the Herminator. No, he didn't go, Adrian Johnson. Good at bat there by Descalso. He works the 1-out walk. That's 4 walks for Sal Romano.
Hey fans, anytime the D-backs score 5 runs or more, Taco Bell is giving away 3 free tacos with the purchase of a large drink between 4 and 6 the following day at participating locations.
Chris Herman grounded out to second his first time up. Sal Romano, for a guy that can throw 99 miles an hour, does not have particularly impressive minor league numbers. 1 in 4 in 10 starts at AAA Louisville this year. There aren't a lot of giant strikeout totals in his column from the minor leagues. Did have a right shoulder strain earlier this year, and he was out for just over a month. Pitched all of last season at AA Pensacola with the Blue Wahoos. He was 6-11 there in the Southern League. Fouled off, and it's 1-2.
Yeah, Romano actually kind of leapfrogged a number of Reds pitchers who you would quote unquote call prospects, guys that they expect to be in the rotation in the very near future, and Romano was the guy that they reached for when they needed help in the rotation, and boy have they needed help in the rotation, because they liked his makeup on the mound. They liked that he was very aggressive, he was a bulldog, he didn't appear to be afraid out there on the mound. And some of the guys that were higher on that prospect list than Romano are still pitching in the minor leagues.
But that really does factor into it, doesn't it?
I think it does at this level. I mean, we've seen it happen every year. Somebody that is the top prospect in an organization, they call him up to start a game, and the guy forgets to breathe.
Just fundamentals.
But, you know, you hand the ball to a guy, and granted, the first time out wasn't real good against the Milwaukee Brewers. He was just overthrowing the ball. He was hitting nearly triple digits, overthrowing that fastball, and couldn't command it. Next time out against the Rockies, it was a little better, so they're hoping that he'll continue to make that kind of progress. But Brian Price said he's not afraid. This is a guy that'll take the ball and go out there and battle.
Yeah, he wants to have that 97, 98 mile an hour fastball in the tank, but that's not how he pitches. He'd rather sit mid-90s and use everything he's got, which is basically fastball and slider at this point. Don't try and throw it through the backstop all the time. I mean, that's got to be, when you've got a 99 mile an hour fastball and you finally get up here, I bet, boy, you want to show that off.
Oh, yeah.
I'm going to strike out 100 guys tonight. Must be hard to pull back a little bit. Full count, 3-2. He strikes out Herman on a fastball. That's his third strikeout. Robbie Ray walked and scored to lead off the Diamondbacks' third inning.
It's a good ballpark for Robbie Ray. Catch up to one of those 97 mile an hour heaters, get it in the air to right field, take your chances.
He might hit one into the river. Gets this one up in the air to center. Billy Hamilton comes in now, drifts back. And that's the end of the inning as Romano strands the one out walk. Diamondbacks have a 2-1 lead.
This is Redzilla. This is like a t-shirt gun tank that just made its way around the ballpark. BB, they're bringing out the heavy artillery here.
I'm telling you, that thing shoots t-shirts into the back rows of the upper deck.
It's unbelievable.
Oh, man.
D-backs fans, stop by your local Fry, stock up on Aquafina water and your favorite Pepsi products using your VIP card. You could win a chance to participate in the Jake Lamb Fantasy Camp or win Jake Lamb game-worn gear and autographed items, all courtesy of Pepsi. Check out the in-store display for official rules and details. Now that thing was scary. It can shoot out about what looks like about 8 or 10 t-shirts all at once up into the very top row.
All the people sitting down behind the dugout had their hands up like, yeah, give me a t-shirt. You don't want that thing to shoot it at you from that range.
Zach Cozart homered in the first, his 10th of the year. It's the only Reds run so far against Robbie Ray in this Ray Romano pitching matchup. This was Cozart with one out in the first.
Yeah, pretty much a middle of the plate fastball by Robbie Ray. Cozart came ready to hit tonight. First at bat of the ball game, ripped it down that left field line.
This is more of the bloop variety. Peralta won't get there, gets to the wall. Zach Cozart pulls in a second with his 19th double. He's 2 for 2.
Sets up off that outside corner. It was a breaking ball that worked its way right back to the middle of the plate. David Peralta took a very shallow line for that ball. I think he didn't think it was hit that hard. Shot by him all the way to the wall.
It's funny in this ballpark, it doesn't take a whole lot to get it out there. 370 to the gap in right center. Joey Votto flied out to left his first time up, trying to slice one the other way. Daniel Descalso made a terrific running catch up against the wall. This is how they line up against Joey Votto. See, Brandon Drury backs up at second base. Votto choking up more than ever this year. It's amazing how he's hit more home runs at this point in the season than ever before in his career. And at the same time, he's choking up like Felix Millan.
Yeah, about 3 inches up off the knob of that bat. Occasionally he will slide his hand down. You see him messing around right there, but occasionally, if he guesses fastball in a certain count, he won't choke up as much and look to get that bat head out in front and pull the ball to right field.
Well, as you might imagine, facing a tough left-hand pitcher, not that big a deal for a guy like Joey Votto. Nothing really seems to rattle him. He's just over 290 against lefties this year, including 8 home runs. Fastball up and in, 2-1. Reds haven't had a player lead the league in homers since George Foster in 1978. Votto's got a chance to do that this year. Second in the National League in slugging, tied for second in home runs. 2 balls and 1 strike.
George Foster, that brings back memories. Jeez, my first game in the big leagues was here in Cincinnati at old Riverfront Stadium, and I was catching a right-hander that the Giants had at the time by the name of Alan Ripley, whose nickname was Speed Limit because he didn't throw anything over 55 miles an hour. And George Foster was at the plate, a 3-1 count, and I remembered from the advance meeting, don't give in to George Foster. So I called for a slider from Alan Ripley, and he rolled it up there in the middle of the plate, and George Foster hit it off the facing of the upper deck. And that's when I realized, boy, this league is really good. These guys are really good. A 3-1 slider, and he hit it off the facing of the upper deck. Man, George Foster, he could hit the ball hard.
Big years both with the Reds and the Mets.
Yeah, Alan Ripley was a former Red Sox.
Yeah,
I believe that's where the Giants got him.
Worked out just about as well there as it did with you, apparently. That fastball's a strike. It's 3-2. I still have a couple of Alan Ripley baseball cards in a closet somewhere in a shoebox.
And that tells you how long ago it was when his nickname was Speed Limit because he didn't throw over 55. Huh? Well, it used to be a 55-mile-an-hour speed limit back in the days of gas shortages and rationing. mean, nowadays, speed limit, you know, a lot of the highways are 75 miles an hour. Alan Ripley would have been a hard thrower.
I can't drive 55. That was the song. Full count, 3-2. Votto, as he tends to do, leading the major leagues in walks. Draws a base on balls. Second issued by Robbie Ray. So now the Reds have first and second, nobody out.
Hey fans, the day after every D-backs win, get 50% off all pizzas at regular menu price using promo code D-backs50 at papajohns.com.
So a double by Kozar to walk to Votto. Here's Adam Duvall, who struck out to end the first. It's in these situations where Robbie Ray seems like he's made some really big improvements. Nick Pecora was writing about this the other day. Robbie, when he gets in these jams, is really able to focus on just one pitch at a time. He doesn't worry about overall outcome. It's just really being in the moment more often with that one pitch. And that way he's able to slow these situations down and be effective. That's how you get a 1.78 ERA over his last 9 starts. He's been outstanding. There's a strike. It's a very zen attitude.
Well, it works.
To stay in the moment.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of pitchers out there in a situation like this, they look at the hitter at the plate, then they look into the on-deck circle. Who's up next? Who's in the hole over there waiting to hit after that guy? Geez, what's the score of the game? Where are we at in our lineup? Are we going to score any more tonight? Geez, I'm in trouble here. You know, you can think yourself into a really big inning. Just concentrate on the next pitch.
That's where that lip thing that Robbie does every time comes in, the deep breaths.
You know, a lot of things that successful ball players, whether it be a pitcher or a position player, a lot of the things they talk about sound like overused cliches, but once you're down there on that field and go through it, you realize that that's the only way to have success. Just focus on what you need to do right now, not what's going to happen if I strike this guy out, then what do I have to do? If this guy happens to get a base hit, then what do I? No, just focus on this pitch.
He's done a good job ahead of the cleanup hitter. 0-2. Fights it off and hits it to right. Peralta's there. Ozart was halfway to third. He'll hustle back there. That's the first out. Were you good at walking out to the mound and playing psychologist in tough moments?
At times, you know, there were certain pitchers that I was pretty sure what buttons to push to get the best out of them, and other guys I never found the button. You know, some guys you'd go out there and put your arm over their shoulder and try to give them some encouraging words, and you could almost see their lower lip quivering because they were scared to throw the next pitch. And other guys, all you had to do was fire one back to the mound. Throw it back as hard as you possibly could. Smack in the palm of his glove, wake him up a little bit, and that's all you needed to do.
Eugenio Suarez walked to lead off the second. Suarez playing today on his 26th birthday. And a home run here yesterday afternoon against the National Steven Strasburg. That was Cincinnati's only run. They lost 6-1 as Washington swept a 4-game series.
Boy, that Nationals team, when they get it rolling offensively, they can be a scary, scary team, especially against the worst pitching staff in baseball.
Well, the Nationals be in a Chase Field this weekend. Get your tickets, dbacks.com. Don't forget, D-backs fans can get up to 2 free kids tickets ages 15 and younger with the purchase of an adult ticket. dbacks.com/kids. Nationals in a Chase this weekend. Come on down and check out Bryce Harper and company. Well, this is exactly what we were talking about with Robbie Ray. First and second, nobody out. Jumps ahead immediately against Adam Duvall, gets him to fly out. Now he's 1-2 on Suarez. Ozart's at second and Votto at first. Hard to third. That's a fair ball. It's headed for the corner. Kozar can jog home.
Votto headed for third. It's an RBI double for Eugenio Suarez, his 15th of the year.
Down that third baseline, Robbie Ray with a pitch up in the zone at 87. Might have been that slider that really flattened out that time. Suarez pulls it past Jake Lamb down there at third base. You know, we talk about Robbie Ray going one pitch at a time. That's the same theory that a hitter tries to use up there at the plate. And that time Suarez, a little better, took advantage of a bad pitch by Robbie Ray.
Still some work to do here in a 2-2 ball game. Votto's at third, Suarez at second, infield in against Scott Schebler. Able to check his swing. He didn't go, says Adrian Johnson. It's 1-0. Schebler, a good left-hand power hitter, 22 home runs. Former LA Dodger. Flags in left center field are just about dead still right now. It's really a lovely evening here along the Ohio River. Not a cloud in the sky above, not too hot, not too humid. A little bit of a breeze out there, but not much. Schebler just missed that one. It's 1-2. Once again, Robbie Ray right away jumps ahead in the count.
You see Schebler between every pitch, that little mouthpiece, it'll pop out of his mouth and roll it around a couple times and then put it back in. It's not meant to protect the teeth. I'm not quite sure of the whole theory behind the thing. Paul Goldschmidt wears one as well. You bite on the back of your teeth. You bite down on that little mouthpiece, and supposedly it releases tension in your neck and your upper body, your upper shoulders.
Lays off a close fastball there. And Schebler has worked at full 3-2. Oh, what happened to Eric Cooper strikes him?
I don't know.
That should have got Robbie out of this at bat. Instead, it's a full count. Got him. And there it is. That is career strikeout number 500 for Robbie Ray.
Nice round number for Robbie Ray. He just reared back that time and blew a high fastball inside right by Scott Schebler.
It's a nice career milestone for the 25-year-old. And a good time for it. Second and third, one out. Now two down for Jose Peraza. And how about this? Does this count? Is the streak over? It's an intentional walk for the guy who never walks. That is the first time that Jose Peraza has had a walk since May 21st. 183 consecutive plate appearances without drawing a base on balls, and he gets the no-pitch intentional walk.
Now, is that ironic?
I don't know. It's not coincidental,
No,
I can tell you that.
It's weird. We know that.
Yeah, that is weird. So here's Stuart Turner, the Rule 5 catcher. Bases loaded, two down. Turner grounded out his first time up tonight. Otto at third, Suarez at second, Peraza at first.
Fastball away, missed. It's 2-0. Turner hits one pretty deep right center field. Pollock is on the track and he's got it. And Robbie Ray leaves the bases loaded. But Suarez hits an RBI double. It ties it at 2.
Our big story, the big trade here for J.D. Martinez. The Diamondbacks acquire Martinez for 3 minor leaguers, adding a big bat in the middle of that lineup. Corner outfielder, fills a need, hits lefties and righties as well, and he should join the team possibly as soon as tomorrow. Other news around baseball, though, right now it is time for our T-Mobile Unlimited Baseball break. That's right, for the Pirates. Starling Marte returns from the 90-day suspension today against the Brewers. Ryan Zimmerman, who hit a homer here yesterday, hit his 235th home run to set the new Expos and Nationals franchise record. And Mets starting pitching, well, they're getting some good news. Syndergaard and Harvey both threw for the first time after injuries at Citi Field. And guys, just another note on the Martinez trade. Our friend Luis Gonzalez, of course, down the hall in the radio booth, you know, he's let people know something about the trade. The last outfielder to be acquired by the Diamondbacks from Detroit, wearing number 28, Luis Gonzalez.
Hey, not bad.
Worked out pretty well.
Now that's coincidence, not irony, and that's a good omen for us. Good call. So Gonzo already taking credit for the trade.
Yeah.
Nice work. sounds about right. AJ's 0 for 2. We had to kick Gonzo off TV while you were on assignment because he went 0 for 3. And we're really concerned about some of the broadcast team. We've discovered that the moral compass, Mike Farron, has now lost 9 in a row.
Ooh.
We told Tori that, and Tori said, oh, he's out.
Oh, yeah.
He's out. So this is all Mike Farron's fault. Stay hot. 3-0 on Pollock.
Yeah, Luis Gonzalez was acquired for Kareem Garcia.
Who in the heck is Kareem Garcia?
He's the guy we traded for Luis Gonzalez.
As Pedro Martinez once famously said. Romano now at 80 pitches, 42 strikes, right about 50-50. AJ sends one at the gap in right center. That'll get to the wall. Boy, I tell you what, you just got to poke it out there, and it's guaranteed to get to that warning track. That's an easy double for AJ, his 14th. He makes it look easy anyway.
Yeah, he sure made that one look easy. Took a pitch out away from him. Stayed right on it, drove it to that gap in right center. I think it's kind of funny to watch Scott Schebler. He knows that Billy Hamilton can run like the wind, so he didn't even bother to chase that one.
Yeah, Billy.
Go get it, Billy. Plenty of room.
So leadoff man in scoring position for the Diamondbacks. Here's David Peralta, who singled his last time up, 1 for 2. Cozart, the shortstop, near the second base bag. Suarez even with the bag at third. Cozart just sneaking in there a little bit behind AJ. One of these left-hand hitters for the Diamondbacks are going to come up, hit one about 500 feet in the river, and we're going to score 10 runs in the next 10 games.
Break the seal.
Every time. It's just waiting for that one big long hit, and everybody just takes a deep breath. David's base hit in the third extended his hitting streak. He's now hit safely in 7 straight. Lays off a breaking ball, and it's 1-2. We were talking to Torey Lovello before the game today, and Torey brought up a Mike Tyson quote. Somebody once told Mike Tyson, "Oh, this guy's got a plan on how to beat you," and Tyson said, "Everybody's got a plan until they get hit in the face." And Torey said, "You know what? We've been hit in the face. We got to get a plan now. The plan is, how do you respond to that after that happens?" I think makes a lot of sense. You know, some guys have been through this a little more than others on this team. AJ Pollock has a plan. Goldie has a plan. Some of the young guys maybe not. David Peralta has a plan. What do you do after you get punched in the face? That's the question. 5 straight losses, 11 of 14. Peralta drives one deep center field. That ball is off the wall. Just missed a home run. He's got to hustle into second. Here comes AJ across the plate, and it's 3-2 Diamondbacks. David Peralta, that's the freight train. The RBI double, is 18th of the year. A line drive over the head of Billy Hamilton in dead center.
Yeah, Hamilton likes to play very shallow in center field, trusting that his speed will allow him to get back on the ball. But that time, David Peralta got some backspin on that line drive to center field. Billy Hamilton could only back up and play it off the wall right near the 404 mark.
Back-to-back doubles open up the Diamondback 5th against Sal Romano. And here's Goldie. AJ was a little late coming across the plate. That ball was hit on a rope. Not a lot of hang time on that. You never know, when Billy Hamilton's speed, he can get back there and get to it. This with a breaking ball, and it's 2-0.
Not as big of a deal with nobody out in the inning, but certainly with 2 outs in the inning and you're the runner, you've got to run hard and get on that plate just in case there's a play at second base and David Peralta is tagged out. I think perhaps that's what Torey was advising AJ. Hey, okay, this time nobody out. With your speed, you were going to score easily, but if there were 2 outs in the inning, they got to see a little more around that bag at third.
Mac Jenkins, the pitching coach. It's been a tough 5th inning so far for the rookie Sal Romano in only his 3rd major league start. Doubles by Pollock and Peralta, now behind on Goldie, 2-0.
Hey fans, secure your seats now for the big games in August that you do not want to miss. The D-backs will host the Dodgers at Chase Field for 2 series, August 8th through the 10th and August 29th through the 31st. The Cubbies will be in town for a weekend series August 11th through the 13th, and the Astros August 14th through the 15th. Get tickets now at dbacks.com.
Spits on that one, 2-0, 2 balls and 1 strike. Goldie has done a fair amount of damage in this ballpark. 5 homers, 13 RBIs in 17 games here. Fastball missed. It's 3-1. Jake Lamb on deck. So Mac Jenkins out to the mound, not liking what he's seeing. Brian Price is going to get the bullpen busy. Tony Cingrani, the left-hander.
Ted Power, the Cincinnati Reds bullpen coach, was a former teammate of mine in winter ball one year down in Venezuela. Boy, could he throw hard.
Well, after all,
he has power.
Yeah. 3-1 slider. Lamb has struck out. He's been walked intentionally. He'll be next. Three balls and 2 strikes to Paul Goldschmidt. Time call. AJ opened things up in this inning with a double. Peralta doubled high off the wall in center. Scored AJ to make it 3-2. Now a 3-2 pitch to Goldie. All 4. That's 5 walks for Sal Romano. He's got a lefty warming up. I don't know if Cingrani is ready. Here's Jake Lamb. He's going to let the struggling right-hander Romano face Lamb. Peralta the runner at second and Goldie at first. Still no outs. Jake jumps on the first pitch. That's a fair ball down the right field line. Here comes Peralta. Goldie right behind. Jake Lamb digging for third, and he's in there with a 2-run triple. There's the big hit. 4th triple of the year for Jake Lamb, and the Diamondbacks have a 5-2 lead.
Yeah, perhaps one of those teaching moments for Brian Price, leaving his young right-hander in there to face a tough left-handed hitter, and this time it bit him. Jake Lamb puts that ball right down the right field line to drive home a couple.
And that's tacos here on the road.
Yeah.
See, you come back first game right away. We get you tacos.
We're going to get the trifecta tonight. I can feel it.
That's going to end Sal Romano's night. It's a miracle I didn't call him Sal Fasano once.
At least not on the air.
That's right. We'll take a break from Cincinnati. 5-2 Diamondbacks.
Indeed.
That's ice cream, and that is good stuff. It's not as good as Cold Stone, but it'll do. Hey fans, MLB.tv every night, every device. Watch every out-of-market regular season game live and get a free subscription to At Bat Premium, the #1 app for live baseball. Blackout and other restrictions apply, so visit MLB.tv for details. Did you grow up in Coshocton eating Grater's ice cream?
No. But there is a Grater's right across the street from our hotel on Fountain Square over there. I've visited that one many times.
I'm aware. Well, after the left-hander Jake Lamb hits a 2-run triple, here's the left-hand pitcher, one batter too late it would seem, Tony Cingrani, who has missed much of this year with a strained right oblique injury. Infield will come in with Lamb at third, and still no outs. Chris Owings skies one to shallow right center. Hamilton in front of Schebler. Lammer will bluff and hold air.
Good choice.
Yep.
Just wasn't deep enough. Billy Hamilton got to the spot, then backed up just a little bit, so he had some momentum on his throw. No chance that time for Jake Lamb. And once again, Scott Schebler in right field said, Billy, you got a lot of room. Go ahead.
It's yours.
Take it.
Yours, dude.
It's actually a pretty nice play by Billy Hamilton, the guy who was an infielder, a shortstop initially, converted to an outfielder, played that ball perfectly.
They'll leave the infield in. One out now for Brandon Drury, who's 0 for 2. Big swing and a miss at that fastball. Brandon has grounded out, struck out. Trying to get Lamb home from third. And that'll get the job done as Drury shoots it into the left field corner. Brandon headed for second. Lamb is home at 6-2 Diamondbacks, and that's double number 24 for Brandon Drury.
Fourth hit in this inning for the Diamondbacks, all for extra bases. Double by Pollock, a double by Peralta, a triple by Lamb, and now a double down the left field line by Brandon Drury.
Starting to wake up a little bit. These are the Diamondbacks we watched play for the first 3 months of the year. Daniel Descalso is not going to run with a sac fly. He walked his last time up. As Drury joins the hit parade. That one gets behind the catcher Turner, and Drury is out at third.
Drury tried that swim move. He was out by a wide margin there at third base. The only hope he had was to try to get Suarez to miss the tag. Karam comes right back to Turner behind the plate, puts it right on the money there. You saw that little bit of a swim move.
You can't ask for a better bounce than the one that Turner got.
Oh yeah,
right back to him. 2-5 put out. No challenge from the Diamondbacks. So base is empty, 2 outs, and a 2-1 count on Descalso.
Yeah, it's pretty hard to fault Brandon Drury for attempting to move up 90 feet when you see that ball get behind the catcher like that. Unfortunately, it hit the bricks and came right back to it.
Descalso hits one to Schebler in right field. Back it up. He's going to have to play this off the base of the wall. So that'll cost the Diamondbacks a run. Another double. This is number 10 for Descalso.
Schebler was yelling, Billy, you have a lot of room. Unfortunately, it was his ball right over his head. Short hops the fence out there, got the nice big high hop, allowing Daniel Descalso to cruise into second with his 10th double of the season.
5 extra base hits in this inning for the Diamondbacks as Chris Herman steps in. D-backs have 8 hits in the ball game, 6 of them for extra bases. Herman slices this toward the left field corner. That's gone. The Herminator slices one just inside the foul pole for a 2-run homer, and it's 8-2 Diamondbacks. Herman homers off the lefty. That's his 8th of the year. Six extra base hits in the Diamondback 5th.
Oh man, that is about as center cut as you can possibly throw a 92-mile-an-hour fastball, and Chris Herman gets one of the shortest home runs you can hit in this ballpark, just over the 328 mark at the foul pole.
Snuck it just in there. We'll call it a jumbo jack because that's the deal. Free jumbo jack tomorrow with the purchase of a large drink at Jack in the Box. Not exactly majestic, but it counts all the same.
Years from now, when Chris Herman is describing that home run to his grandchildren, it's going to be a jumbo jack.
Chris Herman, when he's in there as the catcher, is just simply a different hitter. His numbers when he catches versus when he plays the outfield, there's a dramatic difference. He still thinks of himself as a catcher. That's his identity, and it really seems to help his offense when he's back behind the plate as opposed to left field to first base. And Robbie Ray looks at strike 3, but the Diamondbacks have an amazing 5th inning. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 extra base hits in the inning. It's 8-2. Diamondbacks 5th, and they lead the Reds 8-2. Hey fans, Fox Sports Supports is proud to team up with Homes for Our Troops, building mortgage-free, specially adapted homes nationwide for severely injured post 9/11 vets. Learn more about how Homes for Our Troops is rebuilding lives. Visit foxsportsupports.com. Arizmendi Alcantara will hit for the pitcher Cingrani to open up the Cincinnati 5th. Alcantara, 205 and a homer, former Chicago Cub. He's only 4 for his last 33 up there, dating all the way back to the first week of June. He doesn't get to play a whole lot. Switch hitter batting from the right-hand side. This is popped up short right for Peralta.
Hey fans, D-backs season ticket holders get a lot of perks like choosing the best seats and getting the best prices, concession discounts, early entry into Chase Field, special access to events, and much, much more. Season ticket holders, look out for your 2018 season ticket renewal via email this Friday, July 21st. For more information about season tickets, log on to dbacks.com.
Billy Hamilton is twice flied out. He's 0 for 2. Goldie comes in a bit from first, Lamb from third. Oh boy, Hamilton just shoots one the other way right by Goldie, who had no chance to get that one, and Hamilton is flying into third. Goldie was in a bit and off the line, and Hamilton hit it to the perfect spot. That's his 7th triple.
Well, as a corner infielder, you have to respect Billy Hamilton's ability to bunt for a base hit. So most teams play their corners in just like the Diamondbacks do, and makes it very tough to react on a ball hit right down the line like that. Once it got past Goldie, that was nearly a sure triple for Billy Hamilton.
He can really fly. So he's at third with 1 out. Zach Cozart has homered and doubled. He's scored twice. His home run off Robbie Ray in the first, his 10th of the year. You may remember Joey Votto promised Zach Cozart he would buy Cozart a donkey if he made the All-Star team. And over the weekend, Votto arranged a visit here from 3 donkeys. So there were donkeys on the field during batting practice. So Cozart got his donkey from Joey Votto.
What, do you get to pick one of the 3?
Well, they didn't want to bring the little guy up. Cozart's donkey is just a baby. He's only 5 months old. He's right now he's on a farm in Kentucky. And the Reds are taking suggestions to name Zach Cozart's new pet donkey. You can email those to donkey@reds.com. You've got till the end of this month. And they will pick the winning donkey name sometime in August. He's got this one, Peralta. Hamilton will stay put at third. Apparently, Zach Cozart has always loved donkeys. Now he's got a new pet donkey on the way.
Well, we mentioned it when the Reds were at Chase Field. Adam Dunn's nickname, former Red Adam Dunn, was the Big Donkey. So yeah, maybe you call the new one Adam.
That makes a lot of sense to me. So Votto really stepped up. He found a donkey guy, and they brought some donkeys out here. Because the one that Cozart is getting is just a baby, only 5 months old. It's not trained yet to be around people, so they didn't want it to get scared or anything. So they brought some veteran donkeys out just so they could you know, make their point. A little photo op with the donkey. Hamilton at third, 2 outs.
Speaking of donkeys, have you ever seen a donkey ball game? That was another Coshocton Fair.
I've heard of those. You know what I've seen? I've seen donkey basketball.
Yeah?
Yeah, we used to have that at the old Medfield High School.
But I'm sure it's the same principle. Yeah, you got to do everything on the back of a donkey.
Bullpen is busy for the Reds, right-hander and a left-hander. Did you participate in that?
No, never. I would help clean up after the donkey game.
So you got the good job. Wait, what?
Show business. Needless to say, the donkey baseball game was always the last event.
How do you pitch or hit on it? Do you have to actually sit on the donkey to hit? No.
And my recollection is the donkey was kind of sitting there waiting, and you'd hit the ball and then jump on the donkey and ride the bases.
Just take off like a Pony Express rider. Robbie Ray trying to leave Hamilton at third after a 1-out triple.
Yeah, Billy Hamilton in a donkey game would hit the ball and then jump on Secretariat.
I bet he could race it. Donkeys don't run fast, do they?
No.
I was going to say, he could probably beat him. Votto flied out in the first. He walked his last time up, lead the major leagues in walks. I will be interested to see how many people suggest the name Adam Dunn for Cozart's donkey. That makes a lot of sense. Missed in with a fastball. 3-1 to Joey Votto. Adam Duvall on deck.
He's a tough guy to chase anything off the strike zone, whether it's in, up, down, away. It's such a good eye for the zone, knows what he can handle, knows what he can't handle. Rarely chases bad pitches.
It's one in the air to pretty deep left. Descalso in front of the warning track. It's slicing on him, but he's got it. And a nice job by Robbie Ray to strand Hamilton at third. Great American Ballpark in downtown Cincinnati, where the Diamondbacks lead the Reds 8-2.
This day in baseball history, we go to Qualcomm Stadium in San Diego. Curt Schilling starting for the D-backs against the Padres. A light tower out in left center field blew up. Unavailable for the rest of the ball game. Powers that be decided, let's resume this game tomorrow. Well, Curt Schilling had thrown enough pitches that he couldn't come back the next day, so the big boy, Randy Johnson, came back. Bruce Bochy had loaded his lineup with left-handed hitters against Curt Schilling. Randy came in to set a major league record strikeout total for relievers with 16 punch-outs of the Padres that day.
So was Coach mad at you?
Well, he called after we decided to cancel the game. We're going to resume it tomorrow. He called my office at Qualcomm, and as soon as I picked up the phone, I didn't even say hello. He just said, "You're going to start the big boy tomorrow, ain't you?" And I said, "Yeah, it's his day to pitch, Boch." I knew it.
New pitcher for the Reds, up and down from the minors 4 different times this year. Just brought back up earlier today. The right-hander, Lisaberto Bonilla. And he'll face A.J. Pollock, who started off that big Diamondback 5th inning with a double. He's 1 for 3.
Another footnote on that game. Mark Grace hit his 11th home run of the season in that one. And Luis Gonzalez hit his 37th.
So at this time of the year back then, Gonzo had 37 homers
with 91 runs driven in.
How are we looking?
And the Padres, that whole game that started one day, finished the next day, had a combined 1 hit. Came with 2 outs in the 8th inning against RJ by Wiki Gonzalez, the backup catcher for the Padres, who later went on to invent Wikipedia.
This is good managing. That's what that is.
If I could only gotten more light towers to blow out in 04.
Did it get hit by lightning or something? What happened?
No, I'm not sure exactly what happened, but if anybody's ever smelled an electrical fire, oh, it was just overwhelming in the ballpark. Once that thing blew and the black smoke was billowing out of there, eventually flames were shooting out.
Goodness.
Yeah, it was quite the scene at Qualcomm Stadium. Brian Anderson actually had an opportunity to pinch hit in that game. because Schill's spot came up, and we didn't want to let Randy hit the next day.
Right.
And we didn't want to burn a pinch hitter that early in the ball game. It was only the 3rd inning, so Brian Anderson at that time was our best hitting pitcher, so he took the at bat. Struck out.
Was there no game scheduled the next day? How'd that work out?
I don't remember. I don't recall how that did work out.
Both teams were able to just hang around and
yeah,
play
we had
in?
nothing else going on. Hang out in Southern California for a couple days.
Not a bad gig.
Yeah, I'd have to look that up. I'm not sure what happened with the schedule, how we were able to do that.
AJ reaches out and taps it to Cozart at shortstop. Got to bring up David Peralta. David is 2 for 3, a single, a double, and RBI. So David now with a 7-game hitting streak.
You hear that noise, partner?
Yeah, it's the mic by the on deck circle.
Yeah, where Paul Goldschmidt is right now. Just the crunching of that turf underneath his feet.
This is lifted in the air, not quite deep enough to the right field corner. Shepler has room. Yeah, we got microphones all over the place.
Yeah, we try to give you the sounds of the game. Occasionally they're not suitable for everybody's ears, and we apologize in advance if you hear something that you shouldn't, but we want to make sure you get the total effect here at the ballpark.
Yeah, Major League Baseball has really been supportive of the way games are televised. They want to, bring the game right into your living room, and that includes the sound, everything. So they've been very good about access, placing of cameras and microphones all over the field, because you got to remember, just in terms of marketing, it's a ballpark, but it's also a television studio. You want to market your product, and that's part of the deal. Rob Manfred is really a forward thinker when it comes to that stuff.
Yeah, talk about forward thinking. So many of the things that we take for granted in the game nowadays in a televised baseball game were started back in the day by David Hill and Ed Gorin at Fox Sports. We want to put mics into bases. What? That's crazy. We want to put mics on the outfield fence. We want to mic the players if they'll let us. Just any way to bring more of a feel to the game to the fans.
Yeah, Fox has always been a front runner for that. Had a microphone on Torey Lovello for a game not too long ago. We got some dynamite stuff. No, we didn't go, says Gary Cedarstrom. 2-2 on Goldie. And it's, it's a tireless effort by the crews here, because they're the ones that have to get out here way early, long before batting practice, and lay the cables and place the microphones and get everything ready. It's a long day for those guys here. Ball up. Full count to Goldie, 3-2. Paul has walked twice. He's got an RBI double. He's scored a run. And he's walked 3 times tonight. A chance now for Jake Lamb. Jake had a 2-run triple his last time up. His 4th triple this year.
In some respects, this ballpark is a little bit like Coors Field. You never take any lead for granted.
Very true.
I don't think Goldie's going to be running here up by 6 in the 6th inning of the ball game, but you never know. You got to keep your foot on the gas in this ballpark, especially with some of the hitters the Reds have in their lineup.
And The only real room in the outfield is directly behind Billy Hamilton, where there's that little notch in dead center at 404. Everywhere else, it's a short fence and a hot night. .328 down the line.
Yeah, Coors Field, this place, Wrigley Field when the wind is blowing out. You're never real safe with any lead.
Yeah, that last shot, that was right where Chris Herman hit his home run, right by our camera position there. Sure enough, Goldie takes off. This is a fly ball to Duvall in left field, and he's able to run it down. And Bonilla strands the 2-out walk. Diamondbacks lead the Reds 8-2.
Good dude. Jokes around in the clubhouse. If it's his start day, completely different guy. And I voiced this to him, so I'm not talking trash behind his back, but that bugs me so much.
Why does it bug you?
Because I think he should be the same every day. I think he should be the same guy every day, but he is completely different on start days. But
Jake Lamb on tonight's starter, Robbie Ray. You can tell when Robbie's pitching that day because he's on the late bus to the hotel. He's got the headphones on. He's kind of locked in as Adam Duvall leads off the 6th inning. Yeah, I imagine it was like that with Kurt Schilling and Randy Johnson.
Yeah.
They weren't too chatty on their days.
I think a lot of good pitchers fall into that same pattern. The other 4 days of the week, it's fun time. Making fun of the position players, competing with the other pitchers in batting practice, but on their day to pitch, everybody be quiet. Don't talk to me.
Mental preparation. Well, so far so good for Robbie. He's only given up 2 runs on 4 hits. A lazy fly ball behind first. Goldie drifting out there. Robbie tonight has walked 3, 1 intentional. He struck out 3. He struck out Scott Schebler in the 4th inning for his 500th career strikeout. And here's Eugenio Suarez, who had an RBI double his last time up. Suarez celebrating his 26th birthday tonight. Suarez has got some pop. He homered here yesterday against Steven Strasburg. And he's hit 11 of his 13 home runs in this ballpark this year. Chris Herman behind the plate tonight. Dodgers have Clayton Kershaw pitching at the White Sox. Right now, LA leads in Chicago 1-0. They're in the third. Rockies and Padres later tonight at Coors. There's a strike. Diamondbacks 10.5 games behind LA for the NL West lead. Only a half game up on Colorado for that first wild card spot. And Suarez strikes out, 2 down.
Calling all kids between the ages of 10 and 16 and would like to be part of the D-backs telecast, interview a player, go behind the scenes to see what it takes to produce a baseball game. Then come out this Sunday to Chase Field for the Fox Sports Arizona and Sanderson Ford Kidcaster auditions from 11:30 in the morning to 1:30 in the afternoon at the Sandlot during the D-backs Nationals game.
That's how we discovered Brian Henry. He came in as a 13-year-old kid, just hung around. Now he's producing games. I think he's 15.
He's 15?
Yeah. That was just a couple of years ago. Here's Scott Schebler. The great Brian P. Henry manning the ship tonight. I think the big dog is at that Comic-Con thing. Get the word on that as Schebler bounces out. We'll head to the 7th inning. Diamondbacks all over the Reds. It's 8-2. National League matchup this weekend at Chase Field. It's the D-backs and the Washington Nationals. Bryce Harper and company will be in town. And kids 15 and younger get free tickets with the purchase of an adult ticket. So get your tickets now. dbacks.com/kids. D-backs fans can get up to 2 free kids tickets. That's ages 15 and younger with the purchase of an adult ticket. Bleachers, bullpen reserve, baseline reserve, infield, outfield reserve. All the info can be found at dbacks.com/kids. So get on out this weekend. Check out Bryce Harper and the Nationals. Kids get in free at Chase Field.
That's a great deal. You get a Little League coach and get a couple of the parents to volunteer and come along and buy a ticket. You can bring the whole team out.
Wouldn't cost you anything.
Nothing.
A couple of adult tickets. Chris Owings leads off the 7th. That's out of play. It's 0-2. CO doubled and scored in the second. He's 1 for 3. Zach Cozart at shortstop pounces on that one, but he's got no play. And he may have injured himself a bit. He's limping around out there. Cozart was just on the DL not too long ago. He had a right quadricep strain, and he came up a little funny that time.
Yeah, after that right quadricep strains, the Reds told him to kind of back off a little bit like the Diamondbacks did with A.J. Pollock when he initially returned from his DL stint. Pick your spots. You don't have to go 100% on every play. Kind of an awkward landing that time by Cozart. And obviously in some discomfort out there.
Yeah, he just came off the DL at the end of June. A high chopper to third. Suarez snags it. And a nice turn to that double play. Jose Peraza at second, and Eugenio Suarez got it started.
Well, you hate to see it happen to your offense, but that's pretty nice defensive play right there. Suarez going up the ladder to get to that ball quickly. A lightning fast turn by Peraza at second, just in time to get Drury at first for the double play.
Well, it's been in many ways kind of a typical Daniel Descalso night. He drove in a run with a sac fly in the second, and a long at bat, worked a walk in the fourth, and then doubled and scored in the fifth. That's pretty much his deal.
And took extra bases away from Joey Votto with a real nice defensive play out in the gap in left center.
It's just, you know, it's kind of quiet, but you look up and boy, it's just every at bat was really good. He's solid defensively. Diamondbacks tonight have 10 hits. 8 of them are for extra bases. Pollock has a double. Peralta has a double. Goldie a double. Lamb a triple. Owens is double. Drury double. Descalso double. Herman home run. 8 runs on 10 hits. And Descalso's on base again. A 2-out walk will bring up Chris Herman. Second walk issued by Bonilla. Herman sliced a home run just inside the left field foul pole his last time up, his 8th of the year. Our Chaz Roberts air conditioning and plumbing cool play of the game. Chris Herman in the 5th.
I don't know if they still say this in the dugout, but when a guy hits a home run like that, we used to say he measured it perfectly.
Sure did.
328 down that left field line. He hit it 329.
Had to get the camera guy out of the way. He was running for the exits. Coming right at him. And he had just missed. It's 1-1. Nice work. Look, now he's bored. Got a Bengals hat on. Doesn't want anybody to see. That's why. Can I say that here? Will they get mad? Pitcher spot is up next. Ray Fuentes is in the on-deck circle. So he would hit for Robbie Ray. Bullpen is getting busy. Former Red J.J. Hoover just back from the DL of the minor leagues. A little rehab stint. The news was not encouraging on Randall Delgado. He's got a flexor strain in his right elbow. So Randall, it doesn't look like, will be back anytime soon. Going to shut him down for 10 to 14 days and then take a look, but he went back to Phoenix and had an MRI, and that's what they turned up. And there's Ray Fuentes. They're going to have to make a move on the 25-man roster tomorrow if J.D. Martinez gets here, and somebody's going to have to go. Descalso takes off, and Herman has a 2-out walk. So Fuentes will hit for Robbie Ray. And that'll end Robbie's night after 6 innings. He gave up just 2 runs on 4 hits. He walked 3 and had 4 strikeouts. And Fuentes will be the hitter. 235 and a home run. Ray hasn't been in a game or had an at-bat since July the 8th, so it's been 10 days. And Fuentes sends one toward the right field corner and gone. Ray Fuentes, that's a 3-run homer, and it's 11-2 Diamondbacks. Second career homer for Ray Fuentes. And what we hope is not his final at bat as a Diamondback, but it might be. J.D. Martinez is due here at maybe tomorrow. We'll find out. But Fuentes sends one out of here in Cincinnati.
As Ray was taking his at bat, I was just thinking the way guys look at trades. Yeah, somebody like Goldie or Jake Lamb or A.J. Pollock, hey, that's great. That's going to make us stronger. But those guys down there at the end of the bench that aren't regular players understand that a roster move is going to have to be made when Martinez gets here, and it's not going to be Goldie.
I don't think Ray has any minor league options left either, so that of course factors in as well. There's A.J. Pollock. That's a big time jumbo jack, a free jumbo jack tomorrow, a Jack in the Box with a purchase of a large drink courtesy of Ray Fuentes. Well, BB, this is the game we've been waiting for a while. All bunch of extra base hits, 11 runs. You were talking about this right at the top of the broadcast. When you bring in a big bat like J.D. Martinez, sometimes everybody gets excited. So Ray Fuentes, a 3-run homer. It's 11-2 D-backs. Start once again for Robbie Ray, our Cox high-speed highlights. He went 6 innings, 2 runs on 4 hits. He walked 3 and had 4 strikeouts, including the 500th of his career.
Yeah, not the big strikeout night we're used to seeing from Robbie Ray, but very efficient and probably could have gone a little deeper in this ball game, but the big lead by the Diamondbacks and the hot, humid temperatures might as well pull the plug, let J.J. Hoover get his feet wet.
And the new pitcher for the Diamondbacks, just back from minor league rehab. It's the former Red J.J. Hoover, who had several very good seasons here working out of the Cincinnati bullpen. And he's on to start the bottom of the 7th. It's the Ashline call for the bullpen with some defensive changes behind him. Ray Fuentes stays in the game. He takes over in center field. A.J. Pollock comes out. Gregor Blanco takes over in left field for Daniel Descalso. Descalso moves to third, replacing Jake Lamb. This is pretty well hit. Deep left center field by Jose Peraza, and Blanco has it just shy of the wall out there. More on from J.J. Hoover. Let's go to Jody.
Well, J.J. Hoover, of course, back in Cincinnati, his former team, the Reds, and it's great because his hometown of Elizabeth, Pennsylvania, not too far away. He also met his wife, Megan Kate, at the Cincinnati Zoo, where she's a trainer. Now, they bought 65 acres about 40 minutes away from here in Ohio, and they are building a farm, and Megan Kate has put in a lot of work. J.J. was there over the All-Star break. He actually went straight there off the plane the other day, staying out there, and they're just getting started, but the goal is to be self-sustaining. He said he doesn't like processed foods. He wants to create food the way it was meant to be, animals that can roam freely, no cages or confinement. He also wants to help youth around the area. His wife is very involved in that, and they would like to eventually get to the point where they have help out on the farm and can maybe have an internship program or something like that where they can really teach hard work and give young people opportunities. So he's excited to be back here, guys, and he was out there earlier today at the farm.
Yeah, Megan is an exotic animal trainer who worked with polar bears and rhinos and gorillas at the Cincinnati Zoo. They have cats and dogs. They have a pet pig named Dozer. They got all kinds of things going on over there. Horses, donkeys, grass-fed cattle. A nice farm out there in Batavia, Kentucky, if that's how you pronounce it.
Yeah, place for Zach Cozart to keep his donkey.
So, works out nicely.
Yeah.
Well, Scooter Gennett comes off the bench to hit for the pitcher. 306 and 16 homers. Very quickly for J.J. 2 outs on 4 pitches. Got to be careful with Gennett. 16 homers already a career high. He's homered in 4 of his last 9 games. You were asking Tom Brenneman, boy, oh boy, you know, how is Gennett, you know, what's he done to hit 16 home runs? He had no clue.
No clue.
Slices this one to Blanco in left field. Good inning there for the former Red, J.J. Hoover, who's back in town. He gets us to the 8th, 11-2 Diamondbacks. Winning combo. We've been waiting for this for weeks. The big Diamondback inning, and it came tonight in the 5th when the Diamondbacks had 6 extra base hits in 1 inning. A new franchise record. Pollock doubled, Peralta doubled, Lamb tripled, Drury doubled, Descalso doubled, Herman homered. Diamondbacks have 9 extra base hits in the ball game tonight. 6 of them came in 1 inning. So that's how to get healthy. 11 hits, 9 for extra bases. They lead the Reds 11-2 as we start the top of the 8th. And the new pitcher for Cincinnati is the right-hander Blake Wood. His 40th appearance of the year.
Blake Wood has big league time with the Kansas City Royals, also the Cleveland Indians, and now the Cincinnati Reds. Last year 6-5 with the Reds. ERA just a tick under 4. You see his numbers this season.
David Peralta leads off the Arizona 8th. Peralta singled in the third, had an RBI double and scored in that 5th inning. David's now got a 7-game hitting streak. Rolled the other way to shortstop. Cozart backhands it. Tough throw. Votto can't scoop it. Peralta's aboard. That's his 3rd hit tonight, a leadoff single.
I mentioned Cozart on that diving attempt earlier in the ball game. Just looked in a lot of discomfort out there at shortstop. Really looked like he had a hard time planting and throwing across the diamond that time. Peralta will be credited with an infield hit, but another very awkward looking play by the Red shortstop.
Well, Goldie's been up there 4 times. He's been aboard 4 times. An RBI double, 3 walks. He scored a run. Make it now a 10-game hitting streak for Goldie and a 16-game road hitting streak. Padres and Rockies are underway in Denver. That game is already tied up 3-3 in the bottom of the 3rd, so it looks like they're headed for a typical Coors Field night tonight, the Rockies and the Padres. Diamondbacks began play today only a half game ahead of Colorado for that first National League wildcard spot. Three 3-0 to Goldie.
Throw it right there again.
He'll take 1, not 2.
Yeah, Goldie has been more aggressive on 3-0 pitches this year than we've ever seen him in the past. He's always had the green light, but he's a guy that has so much confidence in his own ability that he's going to have to throw me 3 strikes to get me out, not just 1. And not to his liking that time. Fastball out over the outside part of the plate. Goldie probably looking for something middle of the plate in, but now in a 3-2 count, has to be able to protect.
Gregor Blanco on deck. Peralta the runner at first, nobody out. Votto playing behind the runner over there. He didn't go, Gary Cederstrom, and that's the 4th walk tonight drawn by Paul Goldschmidt. And the first 2 have reached against Blake Wood here in the Diamondback 8th.
Boy, that is such an inborn skill that Goldie has. He's not afraid to hit with 2 strikes. He'll take a strike on a 3-1 pitch, knowing that the pitcher has to come back in the zone one more time. And his eye for the zone is so good, if you don't throw him that strike, he's more than willing to take the base on balls.
That's 9 walks issued to Diamondbacks batters tonight. Gregor Blanco's first at bat. 247 and 2 homers. Blanco's playing time has dried up a bit since the return of A.J. Pollock. Gregor only 4 for 19 this month. Dodgers still leading at the White Sox. LA's up 1-0 in the 4th. There's a strike, and it's 1-1. Diamondbacks tonight have 9 walks and 9 extra base hits. That's slicing on a plane. It's 1-2. Zach Greinke goes here tomorrow night. 4:10 start. Back home in Arizona. Diamondbacks live pregame show comes your way at 3:30. Zach Greinke against Tim Adelman. Thursday's a getaway day game here. It'll be breakfast with the Diamondbacks At 9 a.m., Taijuan Walker against Luis Castillo, who looked so good pitching against the D-backs at Chase Field earlier this month. This is out to Duvall in left. One away. That'll bring up Chris Owings. CO's 2 for 4. He singled, doubled, scored a run.
And we've talked a lot tonight about the addition of J.D. Martinez to the Diamondbacks and what that means to the guys on the team in that third base dugout. Tigers are only 6 games out in their division going into play tonight in a very mediocre AL Central.
Yeah, that's being kind.
I mean, everybody assumes that the Indians are going to get hot and run away with that division, but as I said, the Tigers only 6 back going into play today and trading away one of their middle of the lineup run producers. What does that do to their team?
Well,
not that we care, but
I was going to say, when we frankly, when we were last in Detroit, which was about a month ago, they looked like a team that had already given up. There was a noticeable lack of fire and hustle at times on the part of the Tigers.
Yep.
There's no getting around that. But you're right, that's a tough sell.
Yeah. And, you know, every organization has their own way of grading players and evaluating players when you're talking about making a deal. But, you know, it's not like they raided the system and took our best prospects or anything like that. I mean, all those guys, we hope they have great careers with the Tigers someday. But it's probably going to be a few years away.
Well, as J.D. Martinez is going to turn 30 years old here pretty soon, about to hit the free agent market and try and cash in. It's his big opportunity. And so he was almost certainly going to walk unless they were ready to give him a whole bunch of money. And they can't do it because they're already paying everybody else giant sums of money. They got some bad contracts on that team. So Martinez, talking about guys who may or may not move at the deadline, he was the one guy that they could maybe even be able to move because of some of the contracts. Not a lot of flexibility for that Tigers front office after Dave Dombrowski left. Didn't leave Alavila much wiggle room. 2-2 on CO. He's got Peralta at second, Goldie at first, and 1 out. Astros are going to have to make a move maybe. They just lost Carlos Correa.
Yeah.
6 to 8 weeks. And in the meantime, you've got these Reds. Diamondbacks are 53 and 39 this year. Reds are 39 and 53. They're 11.5 games back, last in the National League Central. That shows you the difference between the National League Central and NL West. Diamondbacks are 10.5 back at 53 and 39. The Reds are 11.5 back at 39 and 53. I mean, that ain't fair.
That's not right.
It's a very top-heavy, both American and National League. There's 5, 6, 7 teams that are really good, and the rest are either super mediocre or really bad. Good at bat here by CO, the 2-2. Count is full. Brandon Drury on deck. Three balls and 2 strikes to Chris Owings. CO skies one first base side for Votto. Infield fly rule. He catches it in foul ground. That's the second out. Take a look at the American League playoff picture. AL East is still Red Sox 10 over 500. There's Cleveland you were talking about, and then Houston with 62 wins in the West. You got a favorite here for the wild card?
I don't know. Not really. I mean, I think a lot of people in baseball would like to see the Yankees sneak in there so you can watch Aaron Judge for another week or two in the postseason.
Big time, huh? Brandon Drury. They got Frazier up in New York now. They got some really good young players, the Yankees. They finally let Brian Cashman be a GM and just stick with the plan and bring up some of the kids and reload the farm system. He made some terrific moves. Different era now where the Yankees are playing the kids. Talking about, yeah. Remember Buck Showalter talking about working with Mr. Steinbrenner. The phone would ring and he would never say hello or goodbye.
Just start talking.
Every time Buck answered the phone, he would just start talking and then hang up. Yes, Mr. Steinbrenner. Brandon reaches out and squirts that to right center, but Billy Hamilton runs it down. That's another one where Scheffler says, that's all you, Billy.
Plenty of room.
11-2 D-backs. Diamondbacks, the game we've been waiting for. The offense has broken it open with 9 extra base hits, 6 coming in the 5th inning. That leads us to what's next, brought to you by CenturyLink. Game 2 of the 3-game set tomorrow. Zach Greinke against Tim Adelman. And a getaway day game Thursday morning. It's breakfast with the Diamondbacks. J.J. Hoover, the former Red, back out there, his 2nd inning of work. He got 3 outs on 6 pitches in the 7th. Billy Hamilton tripled his last time up. He's 1 for 3. That's got a chance to stay playable. Descalso's over there. Owings in foul ground. CO has it. 4 up, 4 down for Hoover. It's got to be discouraging for Reds fans. Mentioned that they were last in the NL Central. 11.5 games behind the division leading Brewers. And it's been another night of very little offense for Cincinnati. They were just swept here at home in a 4-game series by the Nationals. Washington completed that sweep yesterday afternoon. They beat the Reds 6-1. And the Reds in that series got outscored 35-12. And tonight they have just 2 runs on 4 hits. So it happens to everybody. The moral of the story. That one bounces off the glove of Owings. Took a funny hop. And
Zach Cozart's aboard.
Yeah, Cozart having a career year. That ball took a squirrely hop, came right up into the heel of CO's glove. If he doesn't get the glove on, it probably hits him right in the chin.
That's a base hit for Cozart, so he's now a triple shy of the cycle. One out base runner for Joey Votto, who walked in the fourth. He's 0 for 2. Zoom ball. Herman jumps up there and gets that one. What do you think about this division, National League Central? Are you surprised Milwaukee has hung in up there? They've been wire to wire so far leading this division.
You know, I think before the season started, I might have been surprised, but after we've seen the Brewers, they've got some good ball players over there. They may not be household names, they may not be on the highlights every night, but they got a bunch of good ball players over there that get the job done. Craig Counsell's got them going in the right direction. They've had contributions from some guys maybe you didn't expect it from, but nobody's really off the charts having a career year. They're just a very solid baseball team.
And certainly it's helped that the Cubs have come back to earth after all the celebrating. Oh, broken bat, slow roller to second. Drury gets over there as Cozart moves into second, 2 outs. You think the Cubbies have a late charge left?
Wilson Contreras does. He proclaimed, "We're back."
Well,
and I'm the heart of this team, he went on to say. That was after he had a big day, feeling his oats a little bit. But I mean, you look at that Cubs roster, there's just too many good players. I said the Dodgers can't keep up their pace. I don't think the Cubs can be as bad as they were in the first half in the second half either.
Cubs are in Atlanta right now. They're in a rain delay at SunTrust Park. They got John Lackey back starting that game today. Joe Madden. Adam Duvall 0 for 3. Nationals lead the NL East, of course. They just made a move to solidify their bullpen, getting Doolittle and Natson from the A's. Diamondbacks today added J.D. Martinez. If you're just joining us, big move by the front office announced just before first pitch here tonight. We had D-backs executive VP and GM Mike Hazen with us. Diamondbacks traded 3 minor leaguers to the Tigers for right-hand hitting corner outfielder J.D. Martinez, who might be here tomorrow. Hope so. We'll see. That really lengthens this lineup. Gives you a legitimate middle of the order bat, a guy with tremendous power. Chase Field should be a nice fit for J.D. Martinez.
Yeah.
Really, just exactly what they needed. Right-hand hitting, power hitting corner outfielder. If you want to give him a day off or something, you've got lefties you could platoon with him for a day, a week, whatever. Although Martinez certainly figures to be an everyday player. You've got plenty of left-hand outfield options on the bench. And J.J. Hoover, an impressive return. He gets 6 outs. It's 11-2 Diamondbacks.
Arizona Diamondbacks. This is JD getting the word. Al Avila said that he told him with manager Brad Ausmus and that they were crying because it was, of course, very tough. Detroit Tigers for 4 years for JD Martinez. So that's when he got the news. So then it was a matter of packing up and getting ready to head out to Cincinnati here and join this team. And this was not unexpected for JD. Of course, there were some rumors in the offseason going back to that point in time. And in fact, JD told the local media there in Detroit that, you know, his mom was following all of these rumors from the offseason, and so she was on it and actually got to a point where he said, you know, Mom, just call me to see how I'm doing and all of that. Don't call so much about the rumors anymore. Let's just see what happens. But moms always want to know, you know.
That's the way it is. JD Martinez, a tremendous acquisition, Jody, by Mike Hazen in the front office. Daniel Descalso leads off the ninth against Blake Wood. Martinez was one of the premier names out there as a guy who figured to be moved just before the trade deadline. He's 29 now. He'll be 30 years old next month, August 21st, and he will be a free agent after this season. So the Tigers pretty much knew that he was going to leave. And he has put up some tremendous numbers in Detroit after starting out his career pretty quietly. 3 seasons with the Houston Astros, never did a whole lot offensively. And then got to the Tigers in 2014 and turned into a tremendous power hitter. 23 home runs that season and 38 home runs 2 years ago. He was an all-star. Last year, JD Martinez hit .307, 22 home runs. This year hitting .305 for the Tigers with 16 home runs. Descalso strikes out. Very productive night for Daniel tonight. An RBI sac fly. He walked twice. He doubled. He scored 2 runs. And we may see JD Martinez out there in left field tomorrow. We'll find out. Here's Chris Herman, who has walked, homered, and scored twice.
I recall seeing JD Martinez as a youngster with the Houston Astros when I was working in Chicago, and even back then you could see glimpses of what he was going to become as a major league hitter, but he was going through some of the funks that a young player will go through, swinging at bad pitches, taking the good pitches. But when he did make contact, or when he was in one of the hot streaks, you could clearly see that this guy was going to be a really good major league hitter, and he's turned into one.
It took a while. This is the one black mark on the Astros front office's resume. They just let him go. He was released by Houston very late in spring training in 2014. The Tigers had some guys that had seen him, liked him. They made some swing adjustments, and he's turned it into a tremendous power hitter. 99 home runs over 3.5 seasons in Detroit. 2-1 on Chris Herman.
And that's not a home run ballpark in Detroit. You got to really step on it when you play 81 of your games in that ballpark.
Absolutely. 38 homers, 102 RBIs 2 years ago for JD Martinez. Ray Fuentes, who hit a long home run his first time up tonight, is on deck. Don't like to speculate about roster moves, but some move is going to have to be made to make room for JD Martinez, and that's the downside. You've got Blanco as a reserve outfielder right now. You've got Fuentes as a reserve outfielder. Descalso has played out there a great deal. Three and two on Chris Herman. Struck him out, 2 down. Second strikeout in the inning for Blake Wood. That brings up Ray Fuentes.
Some of the fans here at Great American Ballpark really giving it to the hometown team. They've seen far too much of this year. I remember playing some games at Candlestick with crowds about this size. Players hate to play in situations like this because you can hear every word.
Sure can. I mean, as you can see, to be honest, it hasn't thinned out all that much from when we started, frankly. So it's just been that kind of year for the Reds, at least lately. Just over, or just under 20,000 was the announced attendance, 19,989. You feel like if the Reds can just get some pitching, and as we've mentioned, they got a whole bunch of youngsters. They've had a look at a lot of them this year with all the young pitchers. They've used 25 different pitchers in Cincinnati this year, 13 different starting pitchers, 7 rookies. But it's hardly a bare cupboard here. There's a lot of nice players. Padres have taken a 4-3 lead over the Rockies at Coors. That's good news. They're in the 5th inning. D-backs only a half game up on Colorado for that first wild card spot at the start of play today. Fuentes pulls one hard to first. Votto backhands it, and Ray can't quite beat Wood to the bag. Bottom 9 in Cincinnati. Diamondbacks lead at 11-2. Getting the big offensive performance we've been waiting for. They have 12 hits, 9 of them for extra bases, a new franchise record, 6 extra base hits in a 6-run 5th. Robbie Ray outstanding again. He got his 500th career strikeout. It's 11-2 D-backs. And Jake Barrett is on from the bullpen to work the bottom of the 9th.
This is just what the doctor ordered for the Diamondbacks offense that had been sputtering going into the All-Star break, continued to sputter down in Atlanta. They just needed one of these games, like you said earlier, where everybody can just take a deep breath and relax and remember what it feels like to have success.
Goldie comes out. So we've got a couple of defensive changes behind Jake Barrett. The Gash line called to the bullpen, the 4th appearance of the year for the ASU Sun Devil. Daniel Descalso moves across the diamond. Again, he started out in left field, then took over at 3rd. Now he replaces Goldie at 1st. And Ketel Marte is the new 3rd baseman. There's the birthday boy, Eugenio Suarez, 26 years old today. There's strike 1. Suarez has walked. He's got an RBI double. Dodgers still lead at the White Sox. Clayton Kershaw on the mound for LA. It's 1-0 Dodgers. They're in the 6th. Good to have Jake Barrett back with us. Randall Delgado, the news was not encouraging. Got a flexor strain in that right elbow, so they're going to shut Randall down for about 2 weeks and then reevaluate. But Torey Lovullo now has J.J. Hoover and Jake Barrett back, so that helps alleviate that. And now Torey feels like he can really match up. Got a couple of right-hand pieces. He's got several left-hand pieces to get to Archie Bradley and then Fernando Rodney. Barrett and Hoover from the right side. You've got Chafin and De La Rosa and T.J. McFarland from the left. McFarland can give you some multiple innings if need be, like Randall Delgado used to do or had been doing. So still a lot of bullpen flexibility for Torey Lovullo with both Barrett and Hoover back in the mix. And Jake throwing hard, upper 90s fastballs.
Well, not only does he have great velocity on that heater, but Jake has got a very quick delivery. You know, he picks up that front leg. It looks like it's going to be a very normally timed delivery, and then he kind of jumps at the hitter. Really fast arm. Just off the outside corner.
Ruby De La Rosa is scheduled to pitch 1 inning for AAA Reno tonight. So that's very encouraging news about Ruby De La Rosa. He's probably going to be back soon as well. So the bullpen is getting a lot healthier even as they lose Delgado. Barrett strikes out Suarez, 1 down.
98 up there at the top of the zone, outer third of the plate. That's a tough pitch to catch up to unless you're looking for it out there.
Here's Schebler, who's 0 for 3. Reds have only 5 hits. Zach Cozart has 3 of them. So it's been a quiet night for Cincinnati offensively. They led the game 1-0. Cozart homered in the first off Robbie Ray. Diamondbacks got runs in the second and third. Reds answered in the fourth on a Suarez RBI double. That tied the game at 2. And then a 6-run D-backs fifth. They had 6 extra base hits in that 1 inning, a new franchise record. Bounces 1 and 2 this shift. 2 down. Schebler's retired. That'll bring up Peraza. Jody Jackson standing by. Diamondback Live postgame show follows our ballgame.
As you mentioned, the Diamondbacks actually trailed in this ball game thanks to that Zach Cozart home run in the first. This would be the 30th comeback win of the season for the Diamondbacks.
Well, it was the game that we've been hoping to see for a couple of weeks now. Just a whole bunch of doubles, couple of home runs, a lot of base runners, guys running around. The big inning, a big crooked number, 6 runs in the 5th. Just what the doctor ordered. And now J.D. Martinez is on the way from Detroit. That's going to be a wild one in Colorado. Padres and Rockies going back and forth. Colorado has answered. They're now tied 4-4 in the 5th inning.
I believe Antonio Senzatella moved back from the bullpen into the rotation for the Rockies tonight to take the ball.
Some of those young Rocky rookie starters, like we anticipated, starting to hit the wall just a little bit.
2-1 to Jose Peraza. Just over the head of Drury at second and into right. There's the catcher, Stuart Turner. Diamondbacks, if they can hang on and win this, will have won 7 of their last 9 here at Good American Ballpark. People always knock this ballpark and say, it's nothing special. I think it's a nice place to watch a game.
Yeah, it's convenient, close to downtown. It's another one of those cities where you can just walk across the street from the downtown hotels. Very short walk.
Peraza heads for second. That's fouled back.
It's a lot easier coming to the ballpark from the downtown hotels than going home, because you have to walk uphill going home.
Yeah, that's about it. But they have a nice, bar and restaurant area right across the street from the ballpark here, right along the river. Got a very nice Riverwalk Park just beyond the right field corner as well, so it's a nice spot. There's a strike. Peraza jogs into second. Same 2 teams tomorrow. Diamondbacks live pregame show at 3:30. A 4:10 start back home in Arizona. Zach Greinke against Tim Adelman. Greinke going for his 12th win. Robbie Ray about to get to 9-4 on the year. And there's the ball game. Jake Barrett strikes out Stuart Turner, and the Diamondbacks get that big offensive night we've been waiting for. They beat the Reds 11-2, and that ends the 5-game losing streak.
Yeah, all the emphasis will be on the offense tonight since there's been so little of it recently, but another solid performance by Robbie Ray tonight. J.J. Hoover got back in the mix, and Barrett comes in to close.